Hello, hello. Welcome to the fifth and final episode of Common Unity. We're here with our very, very special guest, none other than Chaos himself.
How's it going, everyone? Really happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation, Lewis.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming on. Chaos has been around for a little bit. He's kind of started his own parties. He's kind of built a name up for himself from the ground up, and it's been something pretty admirable to see. But you grew up here, right? A little further north, right? Would you grow up exactly?
So, I was born here in Miami, actually.
Uh-huh.
I was raised in North Miami till I was probably 8 or 9, and then I moved to Broward. So I've been living in West, like Miramar, Pembroke Pines area, up until now.
Nice. So you've always been kind of like a Broward, Miami kind of guy.
Yeah, for the most part.
Kind of traveling between the two. But you grew up here, right? And I'm sure that you were kind of exposed to a lot of like different music and sound and stuff like that. What was kind of like the soundtrack that you had going on when you were like a little kid growing up?
So just to give you some context, for a majority of my life, I grew up living in a household in North Miami with my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And like my first exposure, I would say, to anything music related was the radio. They always had the radio on at home, and that's kind of what was my beginning. I would say like exposure to anything like music related. It was a lot of like salsa, bachata, like very like what you would imagine in a predominantly Hispanic household. Like just whatever's on the radio, but it was good, like background music, and kind of piqued my interest into wanting to like listen to music as a hobby or having it around.
Yeah. Was there anything in specific that like your parent, like your mom or your aunt or your grandmother would throw on?
For the most part, it was mostly the radio.
Yeah.
I will say that my mom had a bit of a CD collection.
Nice.
So I do remember, when we would go on drives together, she would sometimes put on her CDs, and she would show me like what she had in her car, and I could literally name like the two like CDs that like we would listen to, and I still remember them from now. It was like one of them was like a deluxe kind of like greatest hits of the Bee Gees.
Oh, nice.
And then the other one was a CD from Los Enanitos Verdes.
Uh-huh.
And like the one song that just to this day I still listen to is Lamento Boliviano.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you always throw it on.
So from there, like, thinking, like I would say, oh wow, I mean, kind of like my first step into like saying, oh, I like this type of music, and it's kind of resonated with some of the music I play now that's more funkier and more like old school. But those are the first two like concrete albums and songs I could remember that like from that time period in my life.
And you're also Bolivian, no? That's your background?
Yeah, so my mother and father, they're from Bolivia.
Nice. And you've gone, you go every now and then back there, right?
Yeah, I was born here a few years when I was very young. I spent there back and forth, and I used to visit every year or so. I haven't gone since 2022, but I'm, here and there, I'm trying to go more often.
Not too bad, yeah. And so you had like this specific kind of music. Well, you had like a lot of like Latin and a little bit of disco growing up, I could tell. But then what was kind of like the first first music that you kind of discovered on your own,
I would say like closer to, I guess, being in middle school is when or I could pinpoint the actual time frame. Like, I think I got an iPod Touch,
nice.
When I was in like, I don't know, like I think 5th grade going into middle school, and that's when LimeWire was around.
Yeah.
Like I got to kind of download all of my own music and explore like really what I wanted to listen to, and have like an actual device that would have all my music in it basically. But I would say in middle school, like one of the first like I guess digs I found or that I really enjoyed was Joey Badass's mixtape 1999.
Fire.
Like that's probably in the list of albums I listen to like from start to finish with no skips. That's there, and that was my main genre I would say for a good period of my growing up, like middle school and high school was mostly like rap, hip hop, but more centered around like the chiller beats. Like I really fell in love with the instrumentals and like the production. Like that's what I kind of would admire, and all the music I would listen to. I'd just say, oh wow, like I mean, obviously the artist themselves is doing a good job rapping over them, but I really appreciated like the production and like the samples they were using and the beats behind it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like specific for like hip hop and like rap and stuff like that, I feel like the production is kind of like it's always top notch, especially like that album specifically, 1999. Like those, like you said, like those samples and those beats are like like second to none. Those are like very unique, kind of like beats that I feel like in most other genres you can't really find anything like that. Like the way they chop and the way they produce is just like it's crazy. But I mean that's pretty cool. I love that you were like very from a young age like already kind of leaning towards like the production side of stuff. Like that's pretty unique. I feel like.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I haven't really started producing any of my own music, but I do appreciate everyone that does it because it's a big, I think, stepping stone, and having your own sound out there is amazing. And there's so many artists from Miami that I could say have really put Miami on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool to see how many like unique producers there are, and I'm sure you'll be added to that list very soon.
Man, I hope so.
Yeah, you will. But so that's pretty cool. So you were like in middle school, I'm guessing high school as well. You're kind of like hip hop oriented for the most part.
For the beginning, then I kind of got into more of delving into like alternative music and at that time, like when I was in high school, I think I remember listening to a lot of Father John Misty.
Nice.
Mac DeMarco with Tame Impala. I had that kind of influence.
Yeah.
I remember the first actual concert I went to was, I want to say it was either 2015 or 2016.
Okay.
And I saw Beach House.
Whoa.
At Revolution Live in Fort Lauderdale.
Damn.
And oh, dude, I still remember that concert. I don't think I cried, but their music is really like, man, you just want to be there and cry. I must have been, really like I experienced the concert like to its fullest, and from there I was hooked on going to like live events and that whole aspect of like going and seeing your favorite artist live.
Yeah,
I think it started then.
Damn, that's a really cool like first artist to see. That's a very unique one, because like you said, it's definitely like it's like kind of music that'll like make you cry, for the most part. But damn, that's a pretty cool first artist, honestly. And what were kind of some of the ones that followed up in terms of live sets that you saw?
Let me see. Beach House was the first concert. I remember after that I saw Playboi Carti.
Nice.
For Art Basel at Club Heart.
Whoa.
And
I don't even think it's around
that
anymore.
was probably the craziest concert I've ever been to, because I think Playboi Carti was probably like an hour to 2 hours late, and like everyone is there late. Like it's a small venue. Everyone been waiting there listening to the openers. Yeah. And I was in the front of the crowd. Okay. And I remember him coming out playing. I think it was What, like one of his songs, and like him like just emptying 2 water bottles into the crowd, and like I got splash of water. I would say that was a good, memorable like concert / event I've been to. I went to. Yeah. After that, one of my favorites. I saw Father John Misty live. Oh wow. I don't remember the year. I think it was maybe 19 or 18. But he played in what do you call it? He played at the Fillmore,
Oh, nice.
and he was accompanied by like a live orchestra.
Oh, whoa.
So like that was a tremendous like concert. You know,
Damn.
like he has such a good voice, and like him just singing or playing his songs live was, I would say, better if like than like listening to him on like Spotify or Apple
Yeah.
Music. He has such a good voice, but then like accompanying that with like a live like band / like orchestra, like it sounded tremendous. So that's one of the most like I guess memorable concerts I've had. And then in 2019, I went to New York by myself.
Nice.
I just bought a plane ticket, booked a hotel. I was like, I'm out for a weekend.
Nice.
Because
Love that.
I got to see Freddie Gibbs and Madlib
Oh, shit.
at MoMA One for a concert they had. It was like them, and they were, I would say, Joey Badass and Madlib, or Madlib himself is top 3 producers in
Yeah.
my eyes and artists. Like
Agreed.
everything he produces, in my opinion, is golden, and all
Agreed.
my favorite albums are, he's been part of them. And Freddie Gibbs, like obviously he's a really talented rapper, and it was for, I think they performed a lot of Bandana and
Okay.
Pinata.
Yeah.
So it was
About to say.
a tremendous like experience seeing them live.
Yeah.
I remember I got there like as soon as like the event started. I saw a bunch of different artists, and at that same, I guess it wasn't really a festival, but there was a lot of like there was like maybe 10 artists in the lineup. I had gone to see Freddie Gibbs and Madlib,
Specific,
but
yeah.
what was funny is like in that lineup there's an artist. Her name's Kelly Lee Owens.
Okay.
She's more electronic based.
Okay.
And I remember she played earlier during the day, and I remember seeing her set, and I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like she played very like, I want to say a bit of like Detroit style like techno, and she
Okay.
had her own sound, but that was one of the first exposures I would say I had to electronic music, and I thought it was incredible. Like later on, like I fell in love with that subgenre or that genre of music.
Yeah.
But that main event was to see Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. They killed it. I stayed till the end. I think they performed last. I stayed all the way till the end.
Yeah.
Was all the way in the front of the crowd.
Hell
I
yeah.
got to actually like, stick my hand out and like dap up Madlib. at
Hell
the
yeah.
end. So that was, I would say, yeah, probably
Love
top 3 concerts / events I've been to.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a very transformative kind of event. I mean, obviously you had like Madlib and Freddie Gibbs, which are, a duo that is like no other, especially right now in modern day. And you had the Kelly Lee Owens, which is definitely somebody I'm gonna go check out now because that sounds crazy. And that kind of like opened you up to electronic. And then you said more or less like a little later is when you started to take that, you started to explore a little more. Can you talk a little bit more about that, like how you came to that?
Yeah, so for the most part, I would say up until 2018, early 2019,
Okay.
I was heavily, into like just finding new music. I really fell in love with like exploring different labels or going through an artist's full like discography. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see like I want to listen to what the first things they've done.
Yeah.
I want to find similar artists.
Yeah.
And
What were some people like that you were doing that for around the time, if you remember?
the first time I remember doing it was with Joey Badass. So
Okay, nice.
I was exposed to 1999. Then I learned more about like the group they were part of, Pro Era. Is looking at all the artists that were part of that group, going through each of their kind of individual tracks, like Nick Caution, Capital Steez, R.I.P. And then like ended up going through like different like blog posts and figuring out that 1999 came out in 2012. In 2010, they made a mixtape called the Yellow Album. Or Yellow Tape, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But like I found that on like some probably very sketch website. Like, I downloaded it and listened to that, and I was like very intrigued in the fact that like there's so much involved, or so much that an artist offers, and just seeing being able to dig and find more and more that maybe people haven't heard is something that like that's the one memory I could pinpoint that I saw myself doing that.
Yeah.
But then like moving on to my exposure or fascination with electronic music, I would say in 2018, early 2019, I was, seeing myself as someone that loved music, loved finding different artists, and I really loved sharing that. Like,
Okay.
I remember telling, whatever, like, some of my friends, that, hey, you're going to love this, listen to this. Like,
Yeah.
I'd figure out what they like to listen to, and I'd give them recommendations, and
Nice.
I would feel pretty happy when they said, oh, man, like, you put me onto a good song, or
Yeah.
like I would try to take over the aux at the party, say,
Yeah.
hey, man, let me play some music. You guys are gonna like this. So I started thinking, and I was like, man, like, what's the next step into sharing music? I didn't really go into that production or like producing my own music, but I figured, hey, like DJing is probably the best outlet to share music to people. And then back and forth, like 2019, I was like, oh, what do I do? Where do I start? Do I buy like a controller? Like, what are the steps into doing this? And I think by the end of 2019, like, I want to say either November or October, I actually bought a controller, and it was like a very simple one. And I started, learning like DJing very simply, like EQing. Started actually like compiling all the music I'd found, and around that same time period, 2019 is when I got exposed to more of like the electronic music scene.
Okay.
I remember the first time I went to Floyd, it was with a friend of mine, and I think the person that was playing was Will Clark.
Nice. Okay.
And I remember going, like, my first time being in Floyd, being in like that type of atmosphere, I was hooked.
Nice.
Like the lighting, the ambiance, the different types of music that he was playing.
Yeah. Shout out Will Clark. He's a big inspiration as to why I wanted to do this. He's got his own podcast and stuff, but
hell yeah. But that's, I think, the first like electronic artist I saw besides Kelly Lee Owens. I remember he played this one song, which I didn't know at that time what the name of the song was or the artist.
Yeah.
And the friend I was with, he took a video, and he actually DM'd Will Clark and said, "Hey man, like, what's the song?"
Nice.
And he responded.
Oh wow.
It was a song by DVS1.
Oh, okay.
Black Russians.
Okay.
And I also was very like, I remember being there and dancing to the song, and thinking, wow, this is such a different experience. I mean, whoever's listening, like, listen to the song. It's a good one. A lot of chords, a lot of like different textures to music that I'd never been exposed to. And from there, I said, man, this is, maybe I could try this, or I could explore this genre of music more.
Yeah.
So then when I ended up getting my first DJ board, I dug and tried to find music that fit that like sound I was looking for at the time. And I kept on practicing. In 2020, obviously we were struck with the pandemic, so I had quite a bit of off time when I wasn't in school and I wasn't working. And I really got to kind of hone in and figure out, how to DJ at a more advanced level and build my music. So that's kind of where it all started.
So you would say that like that kind of like you could pinpoint that to kind of being the set and the experience that kind of like helped you take it more seriously, you would say?
Definitely.
DJing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was toying with the idea, but after that I was like, wow, this genre is amazing.
And when you first got your board, were you already thinking about doing electronic, or were you kind of just thinking about like playing whatever at that point?
A bit of whatever, but
Okay.
but I did find like that the focus would be on like electronic music.
Yeah, especially to begin with, it's a lot easier, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you started off discovering stuff, and you kind of, from what it sounds like, you kind of had like this, the Black Russians by DVS1 was kind of like your North Star. That was like kind of like the song that started it all. So were you kind of like exploring for more like techno, more house, drum and bass? What was kind of like the vibes that you were going for?
It was a lot of house at first,
Okay.
I would say, because the sounds of house really resonate with like older cuts of like funk and disco.
Yeah.
So some of the older tracks I would listen to growing up, I would see them kind of reappear in house songs as like samples and just with different takes on them.
Yeah.
But that was my first kind of like genre I really fell in love with when it came to electronic music was house.
Yeah. Well, what kind of like specific house, like maybe some artists or some genres was like the stuff that you started discovering? You're like, oh, like, like I do want to keep searching for more and more and more, kind of like that.
I would say more of like Chicago style house. As far as time periods, like anything like 90s, early 2000s house is what I really started really falling in love with and started to kind of form my sound that I play now around.
And how would you say that kind of like the music that you were finding when you were younger, when you were like in middle school, all the hip hop and stuff like that, how would you say that that's kind of like tied into the music that you're kind of finding at that time?
Well, now, I mean, I've gotten the opportunity to play, at some bars and clubs that will allow me to kind of have more of an open format set or have fun with it. I'll play house. Like, for example, when I play at Over Under, I'll start off playing, mostly house and funk and kind of end up progressing to like playing Detroit techno and Miami bass and different genres. And that's what like I really appreciate about the art of DJing, that you could take it anywhere you really want, depending on the time and place, but there's venues and spaces that really allow you to play your sound without any type of limitation. So I would say that's kind of where I've been able to bring back some of the songs and stuff that I've loved listening to growing up in a more setting that allows me to share this with people.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like, it's one of the very unique things about your sets. If you guys have not been able to see a set live, especially in places like Over Under and stuff like that, where you can go wherever you want. Chaos is a master at taking you on a journey from start to beginning, and it's not there's going to be one genre, and especially for me, I feel like that is kind of like a style and a skill that kind of goes unnoticed or unappreciated nowadays. I feel like a lot of places, they kind of want you to stick with one thing, and obviously that's okay, especially for a night where it's a lineup, and you got the whole lineup, so you have to be playing a certain thing. But when you can do your own thing, it's a different kind of skill, and I feel like you specifically have mastered that. The way that you can go wherever you want. You can kind of take the dance floor wherever you want, and everybody's receptive to it. So just gotta give you your flowers, because it's a very, very hard thing to do.
Thank you, man. I really try to have fun with it, and it's amazing. There's places that allow you to do that. I'm gonna give a shout out to the Boombox, because I would say when I started DJing, at clubs and bars and having actual gigs, the first gig that I had that really opened my eyes up to that, actually, to playing whatever you really wanted to, or having no type of expectation from the bar or club to play a certain sound, was at the Boombox. I remember getting booked there for the first time, and I think it was 2020 or early 2021.
Okay.
I think it was actually December or January of 2021.
Got you.
And many of you that may not know or do know, the Boombox is like a warehouse venue on Bird Road, like near FIU type area, and it's very unique, and I had never been there. Yeah. So I got to play there for the first time, and it was very eye-opening to be in that environment, like hearing stories about how raves in cities like Detroit and Chicago were thrown and warehouses, and the lights were dim, and the DJ booth was separated from the people to add to just the fact that these spaces and these parties and these events are really meant for people to go in there, dance, not have a worry or care in the world, and just express themselves how they want to be expressed. Opened my eyes. So the first time I played there, the DJ booth is upstairs. So it's a warehouse. The dance floor is on the lower floor, and there's like a small like upstairs area with like it's almost like a balcony,
Mm-hmm.
and the DJ booth set up there at that time, and I really fell in love with having that kind of control on the dance floor, like to the dance floor, and like
Mm-hmm.
having the ability to view the people dancing, view the crowd, and play whatever I wanted to play. Like I played house, techno, electro, whatever I wanted to play, I played it, and I got to see the reactions from the people dancing, and I was hooked on that kind of format or that ability to express, whatever I wanted to play in a venue.
Nice. And what were kind of like what was like your journey going from learning at home, especially like during the pandemic, it was a lot of time just by yourself kind of learning and exploring, and then what was like your journey going from that into playing out? You mentioned boombox as like one of the early first places, so what are some of like the first places that you were able to like play at for the first time?
The first time I got booked to play at an actual club was in 2020, and it was at Treehouse.
Oh, nice.
So a buddy of mine from high school, his dad, Rodrigo Vieira, shout out Rodrigo, big Brazilian DJ.
Yeah.
Some of my friends, we would go and see him play.
Okay.
And he has a very unique sound, very centered towards house and dance music.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go to Treehouse to see him play. And at that time, I was learning how to DJ, and I was, kind of more prone to going out and exploring the club scene and really, being exposed to that area or that space.
Yeah.
And we would go see him and see him and see him, and then I remember one day, some of my friends, like, they knew I was DJing. Like, I would bring the decks over to their house, and
Mm-hmm.
very like nonchalant. Like we throw some parties or like house parties and whatnot, and they said,
Yeah.
come, DJ for us, and they knew that I liked doing it, and they knew that at that time, I had some skill behind it. So I remember going to one of these parties, and Rodrigo was playing, and his another DJ, Rod B. They DJ sometimes as a duo, but they're both Brazilian DJs, very big.
Nice.
In Brazil and very big here in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
My friends approached, Rodrigo, and they're like, oh, like, he knows how to DJ. He's really good at DJing. You got to get him here. Come on, do it.
Some
and
good
then,
friends
like,
right there.
they're really supportive. Appreciate them. And then I remember I talked to Rod B a bit more, and he actually said, he was like, oh, man, like, we're looking, to add, more DJs to our rosters.
Mm-hmm.
They threw parties like on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And Rodrigo's son, Rafa,
Uh-huh.
he also DJ'd as well. And they were like, oh, we want to find someone to play with Rafa for a set. And he's like, oh, send me a mix or whatnot. I sent them a mix, and then they booked me to play, my first, I guess, actual club gig.
Nice.
So I played with Rafa. It was kind of it was a weird time. It was during the pandemic,
Yeah.
kind of. So, like, stuff was open. It wasn't open. Like, I think Treehouse at that time operated from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay.
So it was very weird.
Yeah.
And they gave us, like, an opening slot from 6 to 7:30.
Okay.
But I told all of my friends, I was like, oh, man, it's my first time playing at a club, man. Come on, you got to come through. It's going to be a good time. And
Nice.
we brought a lot of people to come and watch us play at like 6 p.m.
Love
while
that.
the sun was still out
Yeah.
inside a club. And it was very eye-opening to see all people that were like supportive. And from there, I kept on getting booked with them. I kept on trying to, branch out,
Mm-hmm.
find different venues, different kind of like events that offered, they had DJs, and from there I think I played a lot of Treehouse's parties, and some of the bookers that would book Treehouse outside of Rodrigo and Rod B booked me a few times.
Nice.
I played at a market, Trucktown Market.
Okay.
That was like where I met someone that worked with the boombox, and
Okay.
From there, kind of like the stuff started lining up. I showed face. I went to parties without any expectations. I started
Mm-hmm.
this with no expectations, just for the sake of having fun and wanting to express myself. And stuff moved on. I kept on getting gigs here and there, and right now I'm very happy to still be part of the scene and get booked slightly more often or whatnot. But no, it's been a very good few years.
Nice. And you definitely have made a name for yourself in that side. And actually, speaking on your name Chaos didn't actually originally come as a DJ name, right?
Yes. So a fun fact, I am not, I would say, a chaotic person. So chaos is kind of an oxymoron when it comes to people who know me personally. I'm a pretty chill guy.
I can attest to that.
But Chaos started actually in 2017. It
Wow.
started as a clothing brand.
Okay.
That was another one of my passions or kind of like, passion projects, you could say, or stuff that I always wanted to do. I was heavily into streetwear. I love design and kind of putting something out there. So in 2017, I was fascinated by the fact that, I really want to start something. I want to start making shirts. So there was a book that I had seen the title of. I read a bit of it. It's like more oriented towards business, called Thriving on Chaos.
Oh.
And I don't know what it was or what the word, or it just stood out to me, the word chaos. And I was like, oh man, this is super cool. And then I played with the idea of, all right, chaos, we're going to make it all caps, like how MF Doom's name is.
Nice.
We're going to add an exclamation point, and this is going to be, a brand, the next big thing. And I made a design for a shirt called the OGT. Some people still have it.
Nice.
It's like a pyramid with different colors and stuff like that. And that's how Chaos started. A bunch of my friends, I made 50 shirts or 40 shirts, and I would just basically give them out to people. And people liked it. They liked the design. They wore it. But I wanted to put more time into it, but at the same time, I was going to school. I was working, so that I didn't really have the means to branch out with it and make more shirts. So it's something that after I made my first shirt in 2017, I kind of put it to the side, and I didn't really touch it until 20 end of 2018, 2019 was when I started DJing, or when I started learning how to DJ. I was like, oh man, I need a name.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be better than just bringing back Chaos as the name for it. So that's how that name stuck.
Okay, nice. And you kind of along those lines, you eventually picked it back up in terms of the clothing brand and all that, right?
Yeah. So I made another collection in I think it was 2021 or 2022.
Okay.
Of I believe it was 2 shirts with designs. One of them was the Unseen tee. It paid homage to Quasimodo's album. The other one was the Feel Chaos tee. It was an abstract design of like almost 2 hands touching.
Yeah, I have that one.
And then 2 very basic, just straight up chaos font tees. That was the last drop I had, and I'm cooking some stuff up.
There
I definitely now
exclusive
have more means and availability to start it back up. So you guys are hearing it here first. I'm cooking up something fire.
There you go, community exclusive right there. And I gotta say, no bias, those designs that you had were really, really cool. And also the fact that you made other stuff, such as the tote that I'm using right now. You have a lot of really cool designs, and I'm definitely very excited to see what you got cooking up there, huh?
Thanks, man. That's funny. I think I don't even have that tote bag. It's people have it. I don't.
It's on the back to you if you want.
Nah, it's all
$100. I do love how it kind of, you started off with the brand and tied it into your own personal thing as the DJ as well. And it kind of helps build both a little bit. You kind of have both that combine into this one thing that's bigger than just you. And to me personally, like it's like the perfect merger because you got you're able to show your fashion, your sense in that, which is like a whole other side of you that most people probably wouldn't really know or see. Obviously because of what you're wearing, but the fact that you're
Yeah.
also a designer,
Thank
you
you,
know,
thank
that's not an easy thing to just kind of just do on a whim. Um, so being able to tie those two in terms of the fashion and yourself as a person and as a DJ, I think is perfect. Um, but yeah, I mean, in terms of when you started DJing, you said you obviously we talked about how you started off with Treehouse and with Boombox, which I guess you would consider yourself like a resident of Boombox.
Yeah, I played there pretty frequently, like while they were still open. I know they're under like renovations and are
Yep.
planning to open back up, but that was one of the places I held I would say residency in. I played very frequently at Eagle Room.
Mm-hmm.
That's another very fun room on the beach that was let me explore different my different interpretations of what that room called for. So it was a lot of old school house, like
Yeah.
a lot of fun music. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to play at 3 Points.
Mhm.
I played there for the first time in 2021, and then subsequently the last two 3 years, I've gotten the opportunity to play at Floyd twice. One was opening up for Will Buck and Felipe Gordon,
Nice.
which was one of the top 3 DJ experiences I've had, like having that exposure to that room, which was so inspiring, like to me in the beginning of like my exposure to the club scene.
I bet.
And then for the second time was for Adam at the Door, shout out Adam's discretion party.
Yeah.
So those are very fond memories I have, and yeah, recently I've been kind of holding like a every other month type thing at Over Under, here and there, Eagle Room, and my most recent endeavor, I would say, has been my launch and start of my own party series called Déjà Vu.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it's been going on for 2 months.
Nice.
My first party was in June. Zay is very shout out Zay. They're the ones that have allowed me to use their indoor space to host these events, and I'm very excited for what the future holds for that. The first 2 parties, in my opinion, were good starts.
Yeah.
I booked strictly Miami talent. Contigo, you were part of the first 2. We played back to back, which was very fun.
Honor.
For the first party, it was me and Contigo, Lewis back to back, and then we had Milo Zero and Fifi, Phoenix, Alyssa. They played. They were part of it. The second one was once again we played back to back,
Yes.
and then it was Adam at the Door and Sarah Fitz.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that aspect of or I really I guess my latest fascination is this, throwing events, having the ability to book talent, having the ability to really kind of portray the night as what you want it to be, have your creative exposure with working with different artists to create the flyer, and really control what you want the party to be. So that's something I'm looking forward to grow, and I have big plans for it in the future.
Nice. And yeah, I mean, that's been something really cool to see kind of grow. Déjà Vu has been, I think, something that the scene has kind of needed. A lot of people, they kind of start stuff and they're very much oriented with bringing in big names. And I think that's also a wonderful thing. There's a lot of talent out there in the world that should be spread around, especially here in Miami, where we're lucky enough to have these venues and these places that are open to having people from the outside come in, because not a lot of places in the world do that. But with that being said, I think what's more important, in my opinion, is kind of shining a spotlight on the local scene, And I think that Déjà Vu has been just what the scene needs. It's been a lot of local artists, some that play more frequently than others, and others that don't, and give like this spotlight on the scene because it's a very unique scene that I think deserves its praise. But with that being said, how did the idea of Déjà Vu come to be? Where's like that from?
So I kind of toyed around with the idea of it over under.
Okay.
A, maybe like 6, 7, 8 months ago. It was
Okay.
like the first iteration I had of it. You know, the name Déjà Vu, or the word Déjà Vu is basically that sense of like familiarity that someone has with a moment or an experience. Like it seems like they've been there before, and I don't know. I kind of like get attached to words, like how chaos was something that attached to me. Like déjà vu was a word that like stuck with me very much. So when the idea popped in my head, or like that kind of motivation to say, hey, let me start getting more involved in the sense or in the space where I'm in control of throwing an event. Déjà vu stuck with me, and the kind of like the ethos and the theme behind the party is basically that I want people to feel like they've been there before, in a sense, but also I want to give the DJ or the artist that's booked to like have their own interpretation of the sound they want to share. Like I don't want to, you play what you want to play, and give them the creative freedom to just build the night how they want to build it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what my idea behind it is.
And I mean, I shout out to Zay because honestly, it's been wonderful to see how receptive and welcoming they've been to something like that. They've been very, very kind and generous to you from what I've seen and heard. In letting you host this like monthly event, and especially because it's very much like a risk, because like I said earlier, you're not bringing in like talent from the outside, and that's kind of like what I feel like a lot of venues are looking for, or for big names, whether it be from the outside or not. But you're really shining a spotlight on these artists, like the people we've had so far, like you mentioned, that wouldn't normally get to play like a closing set like that for the most part, or have a night for them. And also they could play their own thing, right? Because
Definitely.
yeah, like most places, like they're a little more strict on what you're gonna be able to play. But I think that honestly, especially right now, it's kind of like a match made in heaven. They have a lot of faith in you, and you've, from what I've seen, have been delivering.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they're very welcoming, and they, at the time we're looking to find someone to partner with for these kind of like Thursday types of events where it's a bit harder to push, but Miami's a city that doesn't really sleep, so
It's true.
people do like going out on Thursdays, Wednesdays, or every day of the week. But they've been good, and I've been trying to really be extremely diligent and professional, and just really trying to, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I know starting a party isn't something that can necessarily pop off in the first go around.
Yeah.
But I'm very goal oriented, and I'm very focused to take this one party at a time and just give it my all and see where it grows in the next year, 2 years plus.
Where do you kind of see it going? Well, what is your long-term goals with it? Because I do think that it has a lot of potential for sure.
Man, I mean, right now I'm just focusing on trying to bring artists that I like in Miami, or that people enjoy, and just giving them the opportunity to play at a venue. Maybe giving them that slot time that gives them control of the dance floor or whatnot. Ideally, I just want to keep it like that. Keep on booking artists in Miami. Maybe collaborate with other event organizers and throwers, and do something together and see what we could come up with as far as a lineup. And obviously there's outside talent that I would love to book, and that would be a big kind of goal of mine to maybe bring in an artist that hasn't yet been to Miami or hasn't been to Miami recently, and kind of toy with that idea of having someone come in, play with support, or Miami artists being the main backbone behind it.
Yeah.
But like I said, man, one step at a time. Really planning things out and just trying to give it my all.
Yeah.
Is right now what the focus is.
I think I mean seeing like organizers such as like Unmute, of course. Unmute was it started off small as well, and seeing to kind of like the behemoth it's kind of grown to right now and is still growing to. They're throwing stuff all over the world. Shout out to Unmute, but I feel like they kind of inspired a lot of event organizers to see that it is possible here in Miami. I think that there's a lot of uncertainty on kind of, like if this David versus Goliath kind of thing can work, because there's so many large corporations that, it's hard to compete with local talent compared to these places that are bringing in big names. And obviously, like there's nothing against that because we get to have these people come into the community and kind of see what Miami is from somewhere else. And without that we wouldn't have a local scene. But I think that they really gave the idea in a lot of people's minds that this is possible. And I honestly think Déjà Vu, along with a lot of other recent parties that have been getting made, have the potential to go the distance. And I think that, a lot of people like the organizers such as yourself that have this mind and this goal to take it where it is instead of just like throwing parties month after month with no direction. I think that it's going to help this scene for the foreseeable future for sure.
Oh, definitely, man. I think that's a big thing, and I think different organizers working together is going to be also a big thing.
Agreed.
Joining forces and kind of putting resources together to come up with a lineup and bring different audiences that a party caters to together is something that's really important, and I think it'll definitely help the scene. If people are able to collaborate more and kind of create these events that are tailored towards different crowds, but letting them kind of divulge and mix together just to see what the experience is like is something that I see as a good kind of outlet for different creatives here in Miami. Like you mentioned, like Miami is such a wonderful city with so many people that appreciate going out and like having a good time. And I think it's just gonna continue to grow. I think Miami, it's safe to say that they're one of the I guess electronic music kind of cities that have established a good name for themselves when it comes to electronic and dance music, and it's just going to keep on growing from there.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's so much potential in this city, and I love that you're taking a focus on collaboration, because there are a lot of wonderful organizations and groups that have started to come and that have even been established for a long time here. There's so many cool, unique groups, sounds, everything. Like, you have a little bit of everything here, and I think that's one of the things that makes Miami very unique for sure. Lots of places around the world to have some sounds that you can kind of like pull from and see in their inspirations, but Miami definitely is kind of like a melting pot for everything. So it's a very unique thing, and I love, like I said, that you're doing it collaboratively, because I do think that the future is collaboration overall. But yeah, I mean, I love hearing more about Déjà Vu and everything behind it. I think that it does have the potential to go the distance, and I'm definitely excited to see more of it. And when is the next one?
Hey man, you guys are gonna hear it first, August 22nd.
There you go.
I'm gonna announce it tomorrow, but basically it's Déjà Boom.
Nice.
It's gonna be a Déjà Vu and Boombox collaboration.
Damn, full circle.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. The lineup is quite spicy.
I bet.
I'll share it with you guys because
Yeah. All right.
so it's gonna be myself,
Okay.
619,
Nice.
Duality,
Okay.
Mango,
Nice.
Mr. Low,
Uh-huh.
and Winter Wrong.
Wow.
So
You heard it here first. What a lineup.
very, very,
Damn.
very, very excited for this one. It's like you said, a first full circle moment, getting to
Yeah.
work with Ricky, with Laz, with Miguel, on a project together, and I'm very excited to for this one just because of the sound. It's gonna be, obviously Boombox has their sound, and it's gonna be. Bringing that to Zay Zay is going to be very fun.
Damn, that's going to be really cool.
But, yeah, August 22nd, Thursday, 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Come early, stay late. That's the motto. And that's going to be one for the books.
I mean, yeah, if you're looking for one of the most unique and most fun parties that you can find this year, I think you got it right there. August 22nd. That sounds like one hell of a time, honestly.
Oh, yeah, brother.
I'm sad I won't be there for it, but that sounds crazy.
Man, also shout out Lewis. As many may not know, he's moving to Spain.
Yes.
And I just want to give my thanks to him for being an amazing friend and amazing back-to-back partner. The parties we've gone to spin at. I want to wish best of luck to him in Madrid.
Thank you.
Because he's definitely going to make a name for himself over there while he's there.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's definitely hard to leave stuff like this behind, and especially my all-time favorite back-to-back partner for sure. There's nothing like the sets that we create sometimes, but yeah, it's bittersweet. But with that being said, I definitely want to tie it back a little bit, and I want to finish it off with a question that I like to ask my interviewees, and that's, what are kind of like your 5 most influential albums of all time?
It's a tough question,
Yeah.
but I guess thinking about it, I mentioned one of them, 1999 by Joy Badass, is definitely something that I stuck with me a very long time, and I still listen to it.
Solid.
Food by MF Doom.
Fire.
That's another one that I could listen to on repeat. Lots of samples used, lots of unique takes on rap and hip hop music. Salad Days by Mac DeMarco.
Love it.
That's one that I could just listening to it. I'll have flashbacks of like waking up early and going to school, and just, I think through music, one really relives moments in their life. Like I'll listen to a song and I'll remember like the time period, like what I was doing, or like just different memories. Like you listen to a song, and for me at least, like I'll go back in time and I'll remember what I was doing, like who my friends were at the time, like what age I was, like different, like if it's like a Spanish song, I'll like think about, oh man, we listened to this at like a barbecue, like I'm smelling the food we had at the barbecue.
Yeah.
So it's very music's something that's very special.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, and giving them
100%.
like that nostalgic and ability to just relive memories. Another album that's, I would say, very, I guess, special, or something that I really love, was Nature of Evil by Psychic Mirrors.
Yes.
That's something that I think came out in 2016. I didn't find it out until maybe like 2019.
Okay.
But man, that's been a go-to. Like every song there, start to finish, is amazing.
Miami Legends.
Miami Legends, exactly. And I rotate their music in a lot of my sets, so
Yeah.
it's a good one. And then the 5th one, let me see. Thinking, I could say, I want to say, I can't remember the album right now,
Okay.
but it's from Los Iracundos.
Okay.
They're a Uruguayan kind of like rockish, like very like 80s type of Steez.
Mm-hmm.
Very good band. All their work is good. I have quite of their, like a lot of their vinyls and some of their greatest hits. But music that really resonates with me and kind of helps me like, chill out and also like remember like, some of my like Hispanic culture. It's music that I've played to to my mom, and she was like, "How do you know this?" She said like, "Oh, like, what do you know about this?" And I was like, "Man,
Yeah.
I know about it."
I love that.
And yeah, I would say those are my top 5.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chaos, for coming on. Where can the people at home find you?
Man, I have an Instagram at chaos_Miami.
There you go.
You'll see me around and just say hi. I'm a friendly guy.
There you go. And that being said, thank you so much, everybody at home, for watching, everybody at MCR for supporting me through this. It's the final episode of Community, and as he said, I'm going to be moving to Madrid on August 21st. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for supporting me through all of this, everybody. You specifically, Chaos, thank you so much for always treating me like a friend and welcoming me from the first day that I met you. And everybody at MCR, Nick, Phil, Mauricio, et cetera, thank you guys so much for giving me the opportunity. It does mean a lot. You guys helped me so much in my journey. And everybody at home, this wouldn't be anything without you guys. You guys really do make this very special. I love everybody deeply from the bottom of my heart. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here where I am right now. And if you guys are ever in Madrid, please let me know, and I will show you guys around. And when I come back, I'll see you guys all here. Thank you so much. A lot of love. And yeah, let's take it to the DJ decks and go spin some fire music.
Shout out Lewis.
Thank you so much, Chaos.